Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope everyone's having a blessed day. I am Jared O11 Green on YouTube. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. And of course, I have my co hosts on here, Coach 67 Sports TV and JB. How's everybody doing?
I'm blessed. What's up, y'all?
I'm blessed and highly favored, bro. How y'all gentlemen doing this evening?
I can't complain, man. What's up to Brandon Bazell in the chat? He says he's so far so good. That's a blessing, man. Any day above ground is a blessing. Yeah, so usually could get out, jump on here and talk about sports, but I just wanted to do something, a topic, a show that has a topic that's regarding, to what um, people deal with, daily, especially if they out here trying to hustle, regular 9 to 5, trying to put food on the table, especially if you're a black man, you know what I mean? So I just want to talk about the BS that we have to put up with, at the workplace. And we're not talking about all three, and not trying to be a braggart, but I'm just being real. Me, JB, and Coach 67 Sports TV, we're not the type of brothers that bull crap at the job. We're, we've been on our jobs for many years. Um, coach Coach actually being the coach, that's what we call him, why we call him Coach 67 Sports TV, teaching kids, and uh, JB working in customer service and for years, and we all have testimonies on how crazy it can be, and maybe the show can help someone, and not just a brother, anybody, you know what I mean, who's at the job trying to thug it out, and it's rough. They have to deal with the BS um, at the job, and maybe this show can help um, people just get through it. That sound good, fellas?
Sound good to me. Let's get it, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, bro. That's spot on, 100% accurate.
My brother Brent Fox should be joining us in a few minutes. No, he a busy brother. Um, but yeah, let's go ahead and get started, man. So, office politics. And you notice I got the meme in the background. So, starting with you, Coach 67 Sports TV. What is an example of politics that you not, do what you can do within your power as far as your testimony. But what politics did you have to deal with? Any stories you can share with us? Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
All right. Well, quasi retired at this point. In all actuality, I never want to actually be a teacher. I just want to coach more than anything. However, the way things are set up in the state of Louisiana, you have to be a teacher to be a coach. It's not like in Gracie, Texas, or Florida, or Georgia, some of these other states where you can just coach without being a teacher. And in addition to that, and if you could, I being a degree of success from a athletic standpoint, I didn't play college ball. Um, I wasn't like a superstar athlete or anything along those lines. I was average. So those connections that, like some of my peers who were superstar athletes. As a result, my experience is different, but no matter where I've been, this school year is almost over. We have like 2.5 weeks of school left. So pretty much winding up school year.
Coach,
But
you
this is my 11th year
cutting in and
teaching.
out, and you're lagging a little bit. And what's going on, Brent, brother Brent?
Okay.
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
Look, this is what I'm gonna do, bro. Let me see if I can switch.
All right, brother. But brother Brent, thank you for joining us. I know you're a busy man. We're just talking about BS. The topic of the show is BS in the workplace, and we're gonna just go over a few points that we have to, stuff that we have to deal with as black men, just working, 9 to 5 or just working a job. And the first topic is politics. And Coach
Okay.
was sharing with us what he has to go through, but he had some lag. But I'm gonna have you go after JB. Anything you can share. If you don't have anything, that's okay. But if you have any examples of any politics you had to deal with, please share. I think Coach is back.
Okay. Coach, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear y'all loud and clear.
Oh man, you sound so much better.
Yeah,
Okay.
you do.
Okay. So what I was saying was, basically, my first job out of high school, I worked for both of my uncles. They both were general contractors because my grandfather, may rest in peace. He built, like where I'm from, he built a lot of these houses in this area, or he remodeled a lot of houses in this area. But he didn't. Uh, so when I so as a result, my uncles, they became carpenters and general contractors also. So, when I worked for them, it wasn't a whole lot of politics. Of course, it was a certain degree of nepotism because, those are my uncles, and as a result, I got a job with them. However, once I, you know, started at Southern and I did field experience, and eventually I did student teaching, and I got into the workforce. One thing they always told you in undergrad was the fact that uh, they're gonna need black teachers. And the crazy thing about it is, they tell you they're gonna need black teachers, but when you're in undergrad, the thing you don't realize is everything is political. In the workplace. I don't care if you're working in corporate America, or no matter what like type of job you have, you're gonna deal with politics because you're gonna deal with people. Because I remember when I was in grad school at Southern at one point, basically, uh, one of the other students in class was like, "Well, I'm not gonna, I don't deal with politics and this, that, and the third." And the professor was like, "Anytime you're dealing with people and political processes, you're gonna deal with politics. So I don't care like what your position is, you're gonna deal with politics." I've seen people, get promoted on jobs or get positions that they really weren't fit to have. In addition to that, the biggest thing for me as a teacher, this is my 11th year, in the state of Louisiana, you cannot be a coach without being a teacher. Maybe in the great state of Texas or Florida or Georgia, some of these other southern states, you can be a coach without being a teacher, but it's not that way in Louisiana. And for those coaches that do have their luxury, in many instances, they have a lot of political clout. They have a lot of connections, and as a result, in lastly, they probably were superstar athletes, in high school, maybe even college. I didn't play college sports, and I wasn't a superstar athlete. I was just an average athlete, and as a result, I didn't have those type of connections. So, once I really began, teaching and coaching, you know, in certain environments, like the first job I had after I, did student teaching, because the place where I did student teaching and I did field experience in undergrad, that's the place I'm working now. But after I did student teaching, the first job I went to, of course, in undergrad, they always tell you they always need black teachers. However, in my experience, it hasn't given me any type of competitive advantage. If anything, I think in many instances it's made the road harder. But the first school I was at, it pretty much was a school in this area. It's where I'm from is an all-white school. And, of course, I was one of only three black teachers. I was three, let me phrase that, one of only three black faculty members. And I was only one of three men, and I was the only black man. And of course, just being in that situation alone, it came with a certain degree of pressure and so on and so forth. So I stayed there 1 year, then I moved on to another school. And of course, this school was an alternative school. And of course, anybody that knows about alternative schools is, it's an extremely stressful and difficult environment to work.
Yes, it is.
The turnover rate is extremely high. So, I stayed there. I went there the next year, and I didn't last beyond the next school year. And the crazy thing about it is, going to the alternative school, it kind of prepared me for the next few jobs that I would have, because from the alternative school to where I'm at now, because where I'm at now is where I did student teaching, several years back. It's my 11th year as a teacher. I didn't do all 11 years consecutively, but one thing I've noticed, that's different in education now than when we were in school. When we were in school, if a student did something wrong, administrators or teachers would ask their student, "Hey, why did you do X, Y, Z? Why did you do such and such?" Whereas in today's day and age, most of the schools are bad schools. Good schools aren't prevalent. And for those good schools that are prevalent, when teachers get to those schools, they don't leave those schools. They stay at those schools, and they stay there till they retire. In some instances, unfortunately, some of them stay there till they die. And in other instances, they stay there not too long before they die. So those jobs have an extremely low turnover rate, and they're hard to get to. Whereas the school like where I'm at are most prevalent. You have a lot of irreverent, disrespectful students. And beyond irreverent, disrespectful students, in many instances, when the students do something wrong, unlike when we were in school, they would ask that kid, like, hey, why did you do something wrong? Whereas nowadays, administrators, they blame the teachers for everything going wrong. They ask the teacher, hey, why did you let such and such do such and such? And, from a teaching perspective, I'm like, hey, like, I didn't let him do anything. I didn't tell him to do something wrong. Now, one of the administrators, where I'm currently working, basically, he was saying, like, it's a society we live in, and he's accurate from that standpoint. But I feel like at my current school and in all the other schools I've been to leading up to the school, for the exception of the first school, basically, administrators want to blame teachers for students being rude, irreverent, disrespectful, whereas it's like the teacher has 100% accountability, and the student and the parent has very little accountability. So we're just living in a different day and era, and that's the reason why so many of these students, they're rude, they're irreverent, they're disrespectful. And I hate to say it, for a lot of these young black students that are in some of the classes that I teach, not even in our black students, I feel like for some of them, it's just a pipeline of prison, because these individuals,
Oh man.
they don't know how to follow directions. They don't take constructive criticism well. They're extremely low academically, and in many instances, you try to speak life and encouragement into them, and they feel like you're preaching, so they don't want to hear anything you have to say, and they just kind of shun you. And I'm like, fellas, y'all, you heading in the wrong direction. And my man, coach, hey, what you're a teacher, or you're a preacher, because I'm not trying to hear what you're saying. And I'm like, wow, y'all extremely disrespectful.
And that's disheartening to hear. And so one thing that you said that struck a nerve with me, I've heard that a lot. I've heard that, uh black men, that are teachers are needed. But my issue with, I guess that area that you're living in, um, they know damn well them kids is bad as hell. That's why the turnover rate is, like it is. So they need, I mean, shoot, they need some drill team sergeants there or something. They don't need teachers.
Well, bro, I mean,
They need Marine sergeants.
oh, I agree with you 100%. I mean, there are a very, very, very small percentage of schools that are like military style schools, and I kind of specialize, for at risk youth. But there's a school not too far from where I teach that's specifically for at risk youth. And to be truthful, like the results of that particular school is not too much better than than the normal school. And the crazy thing about it is, bro, I've taught I've been in central Louisiana, down in the South Louisiana where I live and where I'm from. And to be truthful, bro, it's like it's pretty much the same everywhere. Where you know most of the schools aren't good schools. The schools that are extremely good schools, like I said, the turnover rate is low, and it's hard to get to those schools. Whereas the other schools, the turnover rate is high. Because I remember when we was in school, even for my day, one of the schools I went to was considered a bad school, but teachers would stay there for years. Whereas, like one school that I worked at, like maybe I'm gonna say about 7 years ago, at this one particular school, like bro, teachers would stay there like maybe for three-fourths of the school year, half a school year. Then it got to a point by the time I left this particular school, like teachers would stay there for like weeks. I mean, one teacher quit in like 4 days. The teacher was like, "Hey, I'm not getting paid enough to deal with this disrespect, these unruly, disrespectful kids."
I
Damn.
But it wasn't even a black teacher; it was a white teacher, and there's a shortage of teachers across the school district where I work, across the state, and across the country. And one of my coaching friends, basically, like he sent me a ridiculous amount of videos. I don't know if y'all ever heard of this brother. His name is Philip Scott. He did this video where this lady was talking about,
Yeah, the
why,
African dysphoria. Yeah.
yeah, and basically, uh, you know, everything. I don't agree with everything she said, but everything she described in her experience is comparable to mine. The only difference is, like, in my particular school, we do have SRO officers. The kids are, since it's like central mid city Baton Rouge, it's a lot of fighting. Kids ready to fight for anything. So, school resource officers have to be present and vigilant at the school where I'm working at. But you say like drill sergeant type individuals, like we had this company that used to work at our school. The name of the company is City Year, and it got to a point where even the young people that was working in City Year, like if anything, it got to the point where they were just as bad as the students, and they were like instigating things as opposed to putting fires out. Where when I remember when I did student teaching at the same school I worked at, if anything, City Year was beneficial, and it gave more of an adult presence because even though they were college age students, like they would help administrators and help teachers. Whereas it got to a point at the end, like administration ended up getting rid of City Year because they really weren't a help to the school. If anything, they were more of a hindrance, and it were causing more problems than it was solving. But more than anything, my uncle used to tell me all the time when I used to work for him before he got sick. As we speak, he's in the den watching the game. He used to tell me all the time. He used to tell me crap rolls downhill, and the school where I'm at, the schools I worked at, is like basically people that are at the top of the food chain. They kind of every step of the ladder they blame the people below them. Absolving themselves are pretty much in their accountability. and pretty much the people at the bottom who are the teachers, they get blamed for everything, whether it's for the students fighting, students being irreverent, disrespectful, whatever the case may be. So I'm gonna be truthful. Anybody that's watching watching this live stream is within the sound of my voice. I hate to say it. I'm gonna just be truthful. If I advise you to go into the field of education, I would advise it because, for everything you have to go through, everything you have to endure, if something happens, they're going to, administration is going to throw you under the bus. No two ways about it. The kids are irreverent, they're disrespectful. Basically, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. If I even advise my students that's in my class, I'm talking about like the magna caliber students, in terms of if you're going to actually go to college, you're going to get all the student loan debt. If you're not getting into a STEM career or a field where you're really making money, like, you don't need to go to college. You can get you a trade. But if anything, avoid the field of education because it's to the point now it's not even worth it, I hate to say it, but I'm just being truthful.
And Brent, I'm gonna talk in terms of, since we live in Texas, where we all can stand up. Me, JB, and you, since we all be in Texas, it's easy to say, I love being a teacher in South Lake Carroll somewhere, but when you have to, try to, be a teacher at, South Oak Cliff, Madison. And I'm not saying those schools are really bad, but we know how rowdy those students can be. So, like in your area in Louisiana, I can just imagine it. Man. And this, shout out to Joseph Townsend. He said, I was a juvenile probation counselor for 8 years. He said, F the staff and them kids.
Bro, hey, I hate to say it, but in the teaching profession, bro, I could say like maybe this school, the previous school, and the school part of that school, bro. You out the faculty members constantly say, one faculty member be like, man, it's all about the kids, and you'd have a few faculty members like, man, F them kids, because they know like these kids, they're rude, they're irreverent, they're disrespectful. So it's like, forget that. Administration will throw you under the bus. The kids are disrespectful. And, I know at every point when it's time for me to transition and go to another school, basically when you have to fight administration on one side and you have to fight the students on the other side, when you have to fight a two-way battle, it's time to leave. And I think just it's to the point now, like all my coaching friends, all my teaching friends, we pretty much all tell the same horror stories. It's just different names, different schools. The particulars in these stories are different. But more than anything, kids are fighting like crazy, the area, because I remember, when we met at the meet and greet, fellas, a few brothers like Meredith Campbell and Jay Good, and it was like, bro, some of these guys that played in the SWAC, I never thought it'd be a day where, I would live in the city of Baton Rouge and people like, hey, bro, you need to be careful. And we at that point, and if you're a teacher, you pretty much, you might as well, just go hang out on the corner in South Baton Rouge, because your chances of, being in danger, working in the school system, and being in a dangerous neighborhood, they're pretty much the same at this point,
And that's very disheartening to hear, man. And, I wanted actually to become a teacher. I wanted to become a coach. And then there's actually this old black lady was like, oh, baby, bless your heart. Don't become a teacher. I was like, damn, you going to shoot down my dreams? But as the older I get and I'm hearing these horror stories, man, I'm starting to see why she told me that.
Bro, I hate to just keep rambling on, but my mom, like I said, she's been a teacher for a lot of years. And for the most part, she's kind of quasi-retired. And, she kind of often tells me like, hey, babe, I'm gonna go back. And I'm like, babe, like I have to deal with these kids on a consistent basis. It's a different caliber of kid now than when you first started teaching. I mean, don't get me wrong. She had like one rough school year when she first started teaching. But for the most part, once she became a grizzled vet and she was tried by fire, the way I was when I did student teaching, where I work at now, once you, develop that classroom management skills and you can pretty much handle any situation you put in front of you, like you good. And so for the most part, she's been good. And I'm like, why would you want to come back in this day and age and deal with these kids? This is an entirely different breed of kid. And she told me back in those days, when I was at Southern, at one point I was a double major, finance and education. And she told me, she said, babe, if I were you, I would go the route of finance. I would just veer away from education. She said, I'm telling you, based on everything I've went through, I would do it. And, so I asked my dad, because 90% of what my parents told me during the course of my life, they've always kind of steered me in the right direction. And my dad was like, well, son, what's going to be more beneficial to you in the long run? And I'm like, well, I don't know. And he was like, what, which major do you have more credit hours in? Is it beneficial for you to get both degrees or just get the one? And I had more hours in education. I was closer to graduating. So I went the education route. And I told her literally last week, I said, babe, you were right. I should have, took a little bit longer and went in finance, because I'd have had a lot less heartache and probably accumulated a lot more money than going to education. So I could say to this day, it was she told you the right thing, because I feel like in my situation, I chose the wrong route,
Man, thank you for that testimony regarding this topic. JB,
What's up? What's up?
any story regarding politics you have at a former job?
Man, just as far as my old job and what I'm experiencing in my current job, just dealing with egos, man. You know what I'm saying? Just dealing with people's egos. Them not look, man, we all do the same thing. And it's like, especially with us black people, you gotta deal with coons, you gotta deal with Karens, you gotta deal with Brads. And then it's just, and then especially dealing with customer service, man, it's not like as far as what Coach said, that like the school system, but it's a little similar based on the structure where, okay, because I can see it on both ends, because I used to be an agent, but now I'm a manager. I'm in management now. They don't pay these agents enough, right? And then when you're struggling to keep them, you do you do all these incentives, like a bonus from here, there, a pizza party, shit like that. But we went to our bosses before. Well, we'll be unnamed. You know what I'm saying? Say, hey, how about we raise the pay for these agents? That'll start, bringing people to work. Because once you get in management, what they do is they base your worth about your attrition and your labor numbers. How many people you can keep coming to work, and how many asses you can get in the seats. So me and my brother, cool dudes. We try to relate to our agents and stuff, but it's hard because, and then on the management side,
You pause, man.
Okay. I was finna say, I thought I cut out.
No, bro, I think he dropped or he cut out.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm saying that you got to deal with, on the management side, you got to deal with grown ass people. You got to deal with babysitting, trying to bring people, trying to get their ass to work, and then you got to hear all these horror stories. Like, I got a team full of women, so I'm hearing it's like I'm watching a Lifetime movie. You know what I'm saying? And then you see them on social media. You be like, if I had a rock, I'll throw it at your ass. Bring your ass to work.
I'm sorry. Let me go on mute.
Talking about some yo baby daddy smacked you. He smacked you last week too. Bring your ass to work.
Domestic violence is not funny. That's my disclaimer. But damn,
It's not. They
I'm
be
just
lying.
saying, these jokers be lying, and like I said, I can see it on both ends. I can see what the agents go through, but when you sitting in that seat where you're managing something, it's like, man. And then you gotta deal with rumors. Like when I was an agent, man, it's like a rat race. You got everybody trying to jock for a position.
Hold on, Josh. Don't go in there. That's a dip topic. But as far as politics, you're saying basically, as far as the attrition, meaning if you those who listen don't know what attrition mean, meaning the amount of people that the company loses.
Right.
Um, they want you to, to keep that attrition number down, but they're not really doing anything to um, give the managers to any tools to help the managers keep the agents.
Man,
Like
they
you
be
said,
promising. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jared.
like you regarding pay. But go ahead. And what up, Living Big with Big Reg? Liking your videos, brother.
Man, they be promising these agents bonuses. Man, we was supposed to give out these digital gift cards. It's like, and then they still ain't. I got agents that still ain't received them damn gift cards. So it's like they running out the back door on them. So we gotta sit there and
Look
try
stupid as
to
hell.
flame the fires and stuff. So
Fan the fight, yeah.
and then because I pride myself. I got the best attrition in my company. I got, for the most part, my people come to work, but it's just, man, it's just how. And then you got, like, when you have those client meetings, man, you can see you got people that never done what these agents done before, and I'm like, y'all talk like y'all just nonchalantly like this shit ain't gonna work.
Yep.
What y'all talking about? But okay, we'll try. This shit ain't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? So, but
Bro,
that's it, man.
bro, it's crazy that you say that because in the field of education, we don't call it attrition, we call it turnover rate. And basically, you know, the people at the central office and the school board office, they know these kids bad, they disrespectful, they irreverent. They know they don't keep teachers. The school districts that really don't pay nothing, they don't keep teachers, and they don't have enough teachers at those school districts. But other school districts, like where I'm at, like basically, like you said, they don't promise you stuff all during the course of the school year. What they do is, they gave us a bonus, and supposedly my school district has a surplus. So they trying to promise teachers additional pay and bonuses for next year. And I'm like, man, hey, as bad as this school year is meant for, like, me personally, teachers like myself not even gonna make it to that point. So
Hey guys, they mess with my notifications. I should have, somebody just told me that they didn't get a notification. So YouTube on that bull. Heck, I need all the views and likes I can get. Come on, y'all. Come on, YouTube. Don't mess with the New Jack YouTube channel. But uh Brandon Brazil said all good, Red. Oh, he's saying what's up to Living Big with Big Reg. But yeah, it's crazy. Brother Brent, you got any thing or any testimonies regarding politics? And not
Oh
at your
man,
current job, anything in the past jobs, any past stories?
how long you got? um, and to be quite honest with you, I've actually been on both sides of the ball when it comes to politics. Now for a short amount of time, because in life, real life, good times don't last very long. Um,
Yes, sir.
I was in a situation to where I came to work. I have a good work ethic when I'm at my jobs. So, my thing is I feel like should nobody work harder than me. So, early on in like my professional life, people saw that and they gravitated to it. So I got promoted pretty quickly at a job that I had a while back. It was customer service / technical support for like a fitness and recreation equipment company. Okay. So, I get moved up to like a managerial position and things like that. And it was all good, until the company actually shut down or whatnot. And then I had to, of course, look for something else because of the shutdown. Then I got on the other side of it with a larger company that shall remain nameless, because if I say anything negative, somehow it may get back to them and they may try to sue me for defamation. Anyways,
Be real careful. Okay.
anyways, basically what that was it was okay. So what I can say about that situation is, on the surface, this company, without it being a dead giveaway, seemed this large company seemed to be wholesome and caring and has integrity and all of that stuff. And it's not, their heart is what separates them from their competitors and all of that. Right. So in the infrastructure, though, when you actually in there, it's just like anything else, man. Corporate is based on who what their relationship is with you, and then how that relationship can actually benefit the corporation as a whole. So to kind of simplify it, basically, if you got something like, as far as maybe if you're maybe an attractive person with a sociable personality or whatever, then they can kind of put you out there, as an example of how so-and-so works here and they're a good representation of us and blah, blah, blah. And, get invited to these different dinners and all of that to just kind of sell yourself and the company at the same time. And, you get moved up. But if you're a person that's not into those type of politics and you simply just want to basically do your job and go home, yeah, they'll allow that because your numbers are great. But as soon as those numbers go down, it's a problem. I have personally seen for decades with this particular company, people doing all kinds of stuff they shouldn't be doing. But because they actually put up high numbers, they're willing to, the company's willing to deal with the BS behind it.
Facts.
But as soon as those numbers are off, or if it's found out that they acquired those numbers questionably, quote unquote, then, you're expendable, basically. And without getting into too much detail, I had been able to kind of sustain myself at this company for about 13 years. And it got to a point to where management who really didn't have like a good understanding on how processes actually work, because they're not the ones doing this every day. They're not the ones doing this every day, so they don't really have an in-depth idea of how this process actually works. And despite me actually trying to tell them, hey, this particular thing that you're trying to roll out is not going to work, here's why, as opposed to just saying, oh, I ain't going to do that. As opposed to saying that, hey, this is why this is not going to work. I do this every day. It's kind of like, well, we're still going to kind of go in this direction, and, you're a professional and it's up to you to adjust. Okay. I told you why it's not going to work. And, you've clearly made your decision. I'm going to try to adjust. And the adjustment, of course, did not work out. And then I had to move on and go somewhere else. I don't know how that particular department is doing, But if it keeps going the way that it's actually going, it's in serious trouble.
Man.
Facts.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I experienced that myself, and I just want to shout out the people in the chat before you go, y'all two gentlemen going into depth for what brother Brent was talking about. Jay Barr said, "What's up, brothers? Much love, salute to the panel and chat. Great topic, thank you." And then Brandon has a question. I can say everybody, but probably mainly to Brent since he was telling the story. What happens when you refuse the politics?
You're basically ostracized. What that basically means is they're gonna make an example out of you. If you don't go along to get along, they're gonna make an example out of you. And the people that you think that'll probably stand behind you and try to support you and feed you all of that, they're not gonna be there. It's just gonna
And
be
watch
you by
this.
yourself out there by yourself.
And watch this, Brent. They're not supposed to do that because if you know an HR policy that can be considered as retaliation.
Retaliation. That's you know
But I got a
crazy.
question: how can they do that without coming off it as being the actions being retaliation?
You know what?
Make up
To
some
be honest,
BS.
oh, go ahead.
Make up some BS
Like what? Give an
about you.
example.
Okay, so Jerry, you already know how it
I
is,
know,
bro.
but if
Like,
somebody may be watching, going through this same situation that Brent, just explained, and they may need somebody to,
okay,
they
so
need
this
to
is
traffic their way through it. Go ahead.
good point. So this is from my experience, right? So let's say like Brent was saying, okay, Brent's not following with the progress, with the plan or whatever, or going through with the politics. So there's a meeting somewhere saying, okay, we gotta get rid of this guy, right? So okay, let's look at his past. He's perfect, but he's not that perfect. See, look, the nigga come back 5 minutes late from his break. Let's get him on that. That's how that works. That's how that works.
Bro, you accurate, bro.
That
You
is, yeah,
100%
that
accurate.
is TB12 accurate, man.
Hey,
That's how that works.
hey, and the crazy thing about it is, and it sounds like in the instance of Brent Fox, they pretty much just threw him under the bus. And the crazy thing about it is, when I was saying earlier how, my uncle used to tell me all the time how crap rolls down here, I'll give you an example from a previous school. Pretty much like the last maybe 4 schools in a row I've been to, they've kind of all been the same. So we had administrative change at one of my previous schools. In fact, like the last couple of schools has always been an administrative change because, when you had these bad schools, in some instances, like this particular school, the guy that was the principal, they ended up moving him to the central office, and the assistant principal became the principal. And the crazy thing about it is, they used to talk about how nice he was when he was the AP, but when he went from being an AP to principal, it's like all of a sudden now he's a butthole, which he did. He made like a complete 180. And the crazy thing about it is, he pretty much blamed the teachers for everything going wrong at school, even though it's pretty much been going wrong since the first day of school. And the crazy thing about it is, it's like, we trying to tell him like, hey, this needs to be changed, that needs to be changed. And like Brent Fox was saying in his story, he pretty much like, nah, we're gonna do it this way. Because that's the way he saw it. Like pretty much he was like, hey, we're gonna do it this way, and that's how we rolling with it. So at the time, the building I was in, they had 10 classes on the hallway. And he pretty much said 8 of those 10 teachers on that hall had classroom management issues, myself being one of them. And I'm like, look, if you complain about 8 teachers lacking classroom management skills on this one particular hall, it's not a classroom management issue. Classroom management issue is a school building level issue. So it's something that starts at the top from an administrative standpoint. Why are these students coming here and just acting crazy and running amok? So what he did is, he had a couple of these faculty meetings, pretty much saying like, hey, everybody need to get in line and blah 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 blah. And it was just kind of a horse and pony show. So what ended up happening was like myself and a bunch of teachers, we had evaluations coming up, and he pretty much gave everybody a low evaluation. And the evaluation he gave me was like the lowest evaluation I had in my whole teaching career. And I'm like, this is crazy. I come to work every day. I come to work on time most of the time. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but yet you fault finding and nitpicking. So I was at the point where, I'm not getting paid what I should be getting paid anyway because it's a poor parish. In other states they have, counties in Louisiana we have parishes. So it's one of the poor parishes in the state. I'm not getting paid that much. I'm like, you know what? There's 28 days left in the school year. I have 28 days of sick leave left. So I'm just take all 28 days. Of course, anything more than 2 weeks at the time, you have to have a doctor sign off on it. I had to see multiple doctors, but I ended up getting, the rest of the school year signed off on. And I just said, you know what, I'm just not going back. So that's what I did. But in that particular instance, what he did was he ended up throwing all the teachers under the bus. But the problem was, it was such a bad school. I'm like, I don't know if just kind of like Coach Prime's situation now. You can't replace all of these teachers. And especially when you replacing them with teachers of lower caliber that's not going to stay here. And of course, he brought in a whole new crop of teachers the next year. And the bad thing about it was the teachers were worse. And not only that, they weren't as patient. They couldn't deal with the disrespect. So all of those teachers didn't stay. So if anything, he put himself in a worse situation the next year. And, just kind of finish off the story because I know I could be a bit long-winded. One of the teachers he gave a 1, is for teachers, the teaching evaluation scale is on a scale of 1 to 4. You're never going to get a 4. I don't care how good a teacher you are. My mom said like the highest score she got was like a 3.8.
That's close.
So you never going to get a 4. I don't care how good you are. So he gave this one particular teacher a 1. And the crazy thing about it was the school was so bad, when school started, he had to go back to the same teacher that he gave a 1 and ask her to come back. And I'm like, hey, she's better than me because guess what? I done went sub somewhere before I took a job at that particular school. Because basically you telling me I'm a trash teacher. So guess what? Go find you another teacher, But that's how bad the school was. He blamed the teacher for everything. And the next school year, he had even fewer teachers. And to this day at that particular school, he's no longer the principal. But some of the students that I taught at the time, like barely graduated from school from that high school, they so desperate and so hard for teachers that some of these extremely low students are like long-term subs at their same school because they can't find enough certified and qualified teachers to teach at the school.
Man, shout out to the teachers out here that's dealing with this, man. My heart goes out to you, and you better than me. You're better than me.
For sure.
Yeah, salute to the teachers.
For real. But we're gonna move on to the next topic. Drama. So drama in the workplace. So the drama in the workplace can be example. I'm gonna give y'all an example. I opened up. I was the morning soup, and 2 girls came in. They got to talking, and all of a sudden they started arguing back and forth. So long story short, it turns out they were sleeping with the same person, and that person was one of the soups on the floor.
I knew it.
So they were about to fight. I had to break it up. Almost had to get a mop and sharpen the stick to break them up. Like get your ass back. I ain't about to now hit me. I ain't got no job no more. Because
don't get an education then.
telling you, man. So stuff like that. So anybody got a story like that? Let's start with JB first.
Man, I'll tell you one story, man. We had this particular girl, man, who will go unnamed. They used to sleep with everybody. Couple of dudes, even Soups, had a video of them sleeping with the girl and stuff. So, I guess it was my turn. So I'm at the coffee pot, fixing me a nice cup of coffee. She come over there. She come over there. Tell me, I was like, "Hey, Josh." I was like, "What's up?" And you cut grass? I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "You can come over to my house," and I already know what that means. I was like, "Nah, I'm good."
Mm,
So, long story short, there was this particular girl I wanted to, talk to, get to know. We talked, and long story short, some hoe ass dude said
mm,
that I was with a white girl. That's why she didn't give me a date. So started learning from my homeboy that it was a rumor that me and this white girl that I shot down, me and her was sleeping together or whatever. So,
mm.
and then when I asked the person, it was a girl. I said, "Who said that? Who was saying that?" She didn't tell me. So that made me mad. So that made me look at that person like, so why are you telling me this if you're not gonna tell me, right? It's just little stuff like that, man. That's one instance of drama I had to go through.
Foolishness, man. Mr. Shelton, what's up? Living big with Big Red said that was an amazing topic. Thank you, brother. All right, brother Brent. Any testimony of drama you've been through?
Oh Lord. I will try to narrow it down to one story. Um, now, uh, I think one of the more recent ones, was a situation to where this, it's a female issue. This woman was, trying to actually talk to me, and I told the woman that, hey, I'm very flattered. Thank you very much. But I'm actually married, Joe Townsend. Um, so I'm actually, me and Joe Townsend got an inside joke about that. So yes, Joe Townsend, wedding band Brent confessed that he was married to somebody. Anywho, I was like, well, look, hey, I'm very flattered, but I'm married. How about this same person turns around and tries to spread a rumor that I'm gay? I was like,
Damn,
okay,
that's the
all right,
worst. Cause you shot her down.
yeah,
That's what I ain't gonna lie. That's what a lot of them do. I'm just being real.
yeah, spread a rumor, tried to say that I was gay.
Yes, and it's funny. I being around these brothers long enough, I can tell that a lot of these brothers' character on this panel, living big with Big Reg, that just like you, they avoid work drama as much as possible. But sometimes, the drama just fine. You can just mind your business. You know what I mean?
Yep. And I'm gonna tell another story real quick before Coach go.
Have
So,
at it.
and this is from a older lady from Jared campaign he used to work with. So this older lady used to try to get me, right, or go out with me. She was shoot her shot at me. I denied her. Right? She always act like I was her work boyfriend. Long story short, she had a younger son around about a couple of years younger than me. She I don't know why she told him about me. He threatened me in the parking lot. And I ain't gonna lie, I was about to whoop his ass, you know what I'm saying? The groundhog was the groundhog was gonna be his mailman, but my brother, calmed me down and we got things straight, you know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Man, I talked to that dude. He ain't want.
That JB never disappoints.
I talked to that dude. He was friendly as hell.
Oh, I was about to comb his shit back. He was talking crazy.
You gonna comb his shit back, JB?
I was about to comb his shit back,
Yeah,
and I was already having a bad day.
Ooh, ooh, shit.
the
You go
foolishness.
get that motherfucker Napoleon Bonaparte, huh? Ooh,
I was gonna get him a nice little tight fade. I ain't gonna lie.
ooh, boy. Oh, I'm sorry about the language, Jerry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You fine. You
I
fine. You
apologize too, Jerry. I feel like you better get your whole ass mama now. You leave me alone.
fine. I feel you. Uh, Coach, what drama you ran across?
Well, bro, being in the field of education, there's no shortage of drama. When I was in undergrad, they always used to tell us, especially when we were doing field experience or even student teaching, they used to tell us stay out the teachers' lounge because at many schools, teachers in the teachers' lounge, they talk, spread rumors,
Mhm.
gossip, whatever the case may be. But for the most part, I kind of always avoided, you know, gossiping and shoo-shooing. I think pretty much, every school I've been to, there's always, a few instances where you have a administrator, you know, having relations with a teacher or
Mhm.
a paraprofessional or whatever the case may be. I kind of always avoided that, just in my teaching experience. Most of the drama has always come from the schools where, you know, all the schools I've been to, well, let me rephrase that. For the exception of the first school where I taught, and of course, the first school was all white school, but, they had their fair share of drama too. You know, it's just different than the drama at the black schools. And at the black schools, especially when I worked at the alternative school, you already had a small faculty. Everybody trying to, for the exception of the person that was the supervisor, because at that particular school, they didn't call him a principal, they called him a supervisor, but essentially it's the same title, same position, just different title. Everybody trying to backstab each other and be cutthroat. And I'm like, bro, like all of us black on this faculty, these kids are irreverent and disrespectful. Like we need to band together and stick together as opposed to, trying to hinder each other and throw each other under the bus. And for
Too
the
much
most,
like right, coach.
yeah,
Who and Coach say that? That's another topic. But go ahead and
and
cook.
and for the most part, you know, all the schools I've been to, ever since that first school, it's like for the most part, the main source of drama, comes from students. It's an infinite amount of fighting, and then we live in a different day and age where, the LGBTQ, is strong nowadays. So the main source of drama pretty much comes from the students, and just to kind of I'll give you an infinite amount of stories about, the schools I've been to where you got sex stories, you got drug stories, but there's one particular situation where the student was in my class and evidently some other students were picking on her. And, there were instances where I called her mom in the past and, either the mom wouldn't answer or whatever, or mom wouldn't come to school. But this one particular situation, she had a situation and, some mess and some drama. The mom was at the school in like 5 minutes, bro. And, she basically came and told me and the other coach, like, yeah, I hear, the teachers be cursing out the students at the school and threatening the students and blah, 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 blah. And basically, the other coach was like, man, like, these students are rude, they're irreverent, they're disrespectful. He was like, the way you came up here, I guarantee you couldn't be in the situation we in and handle these students with the same kind of grace you doing. And she was like, yeah, you right, whatever the case may be, blah, 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 blah. So basically, she wanted the situation rectified. She wanted the students that did whatever they did to her daughter disciplined. And of course, I'm like, well, hey, I know the school that I'm working, the time the school I'm working at, I know that there's not going to be anything to be done because administration, more than anything, they worried about not being sued by the parents. They really don't care about the teachers because, teachers, there were stories at that particular school where, you know, teachers, there's one female student, she liked girls, she didn't like boys. She was throwing dollars at this female teacher. And, the teacher wrote up, and it was like, well, we can't do anything because she's a girl. And I'm like, what? But the same teacher, like the week before, you know, the mistake she made on her application was she put that she spoke Spanish. Now, her area certification was social studies, but since she spoke Spanish, it made her teach Spanish. So there was one word in translation. In English, it was not a bad word, but in Spanish, it was a bad word, or something like it was some ridiculousness. And they was talking about suspending her for like some nonsense. But yet, you know, you guys, you know, because the female student told her, hey, you'll make way more money with a body like that. You'll make way more money if you were a stripper instead of being a teacher. She threw dollar bills at her. She wrote the girl up. They didn't do anything. So they didn't
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, they didn't care about the teachers at all. So
Oh my Lord.
Just to kind of conclude his story, basically the mom was up there in like 5 minutes, and she wanted some, you know, something taken done. I knew it wasn't gonna be done because, you know, if you didn't see anything at that school, they weren't gonna do anything. So you know, nothing was done. And like 2 weeks later, you know, we were in physical education class, and I'm like, ma'am, you know, I'm calling. You know, you came up here with the drama, with the nonsense. Your daughter's not stretching in class. She's not participating. She's not doing anything. Okay, let's see what you're gonna do. Of course, she, you know, she talked to her. I wanted to talk to her after her daughter did, but she just hung up the phone. Basically, the daughter was like, man, I'm not doing that shit, and she didn't. So I'm thinking to myself, why you didn't have the same kind of energy for your daughter's physical education class? You know, you had no energy for that, but when it came to the drama and nonsense, you were up here like literally in less than 5 minutes. So, you know, the problem I have, you know, in education, you know, don't get me wrong, there's a certain degree of drama amongst faculty members, but the schools I've been in is primarily amongst the students and the parents, you know, with the bull crap and nonsense. I mean, I could sit here for days and tell you, you know, sex stories and drug stories and parents wanting to fight parents and you know, parents hooking up and all kind of stuff, and you know, they trying to pin it back on the teacher, even though we don't have nothing to do with it. But more than anything, the primary source of drama in education comes from the students, you know.
It's sad. And Brian, no, has nothing to do with this. What we talking about? Breaking news. Guy was killed in New York on the subway. They protesting, man. So yeah.
Wow, bro, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Is that mentally ill dude that got choked out by the Marine?
Yeah, the former Marine, which I mean, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of layers to that particular story.
Yeah, I bet. I definitely bet. So y'all be careful out there in New York, man. But moving on. Racism. What racism did you experience at your former job? So I'm gonna go ahead and start it off. Me and my senior, I was a suit, but he was my boss. We were doing something, and this older black lady came running to us and was like, basically, this white woman caught her, walked up to us and said, you know what? You look like Aunt Jemima. And we were like, what? So we went to HR and reported it. Nothing was done. That lady that said that worked a couple more months until she got herself fired. But the point is, nothing was done about it. And matter of fact, that racial slur bothered that old black lady so bad, like she didn't come back to work.
I'm sure she could have got a fire lawsuit if she'd known.
She should have, but she I guess she was like, it wasn't worth it. Just F y'all in this job, and I ain't blame her. You know what I mean? So starting off with that story, starting off with Brother Brent. what story do you have of or a testimony of racism that it couldn't be it could be you or any you saw somebody else experience? What is your testimony of racism in the workplace?
You know what? Actually, I am going to put a different spin on the racism issue. Now, this may open up a whole lot of doors, but just bear with me, all right?
Come with it.
So basically, I previously had a job last year up until early this year in January. Okay. This is not my current job. This is a job I had before. So I actually got the job back in July of last year. Okay. And then when I get on, I have 2 black managers. Okay. So basically, I get to work and start trying to learn the job. I take notes, things of that nature. But the process that I had with this particular job, to kind of simplify it, it wasn't a very complicated process, but it was very time consuming. Okay. And I think this kind of speaks to a whole nother issue with working with black management. Unfortunately, the short of the story is the black guy, for whatever reason, didn't seem very patient with me. And as a matter of fact, was very quick to try to implement disciplinary measures and stuff like that to me. The man constantly insulted my intelligence, made smug remarks.
And this is a brother, right?
Yeah, this is a brother. This is a brother.
Actually, what you're saying, this story you're telling, actually fits on the next topic.
Yeah. So, long story short, man, I was catching hell the whole time that I had the job. Now, unfortunately, when you go through that particular situation day for day, it's very hard to get up and come to work the next morning.
Yeah,
but I constantly did that to show character, and I think I could probably say that I may have been late like 2 times out of the whole 6 to 8 months that I was there. But needless to say, the guy gave me the blues damn near since I walked in the door. And come to find out what I think it is, because obviously I don't have any communications with anybody over there anymore. I think come to find out, it was just a situation where he was just trying to grandstand me and try to make me look bad, so that way, he could put on whoever he wanted to put on. And coincidentally, this was a younger white person that he was not paying very well. But for him to kind of like make smug remarks and tell me stuff like, oh, well, if we was paying you X amount of dollars, your type of performance wouldn't be an issue. What is that supposed to mean? Like,
excuse you?
Want me to take you telling me that I'm not doing a good enough job, which if I'm not, okay, I have to accept that. And I have to, as a professional, I have to accept that and then try to figure out how I can improve that. But if you're telling me that, hey, based on what we're paying you, you're not literally worth it, but I'm paying somebody else like a lower amount, and I can get them to try to do the same thing, like, okay. But I think my main thing or my main takeaway was that you feel like there was some sort of superiority complex that you have against me And I could never figure out why. Like, why do you feel like you have to like dominate me?
Put on a performance with
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
because that's how a lot of black folks get their rocks off the coons anyway. Which we're going to talk about that in the next slide. Man, and I'm sorry you went through that, Brent, but hey, this story is going to help somebody, um, deal with it. But again, can you summarize how you got yourself out of it? That situation? Did you resign? Did you
Yeah.
tell them?
Unfortunately. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you just try to have talk like an adult and tell them well man to man, unfortunately, you treat me very unprofessional. You know what I mean? Just let him know in a professional way. How he's conducting himself is not how a manager should conduct his or herself. In his case, it was a he. But yeah.
Yeah. I had actually done that. We have had like several sit downs and talks and whatever, because quite honestly, the man was obligated to do it. And then during those particular talks, I would literally tell him like, okay, I don't think that as a leader that you should actually approach this way. Like you should not be using this particular approach when we're dealing with these types of issues. And this is just one-on-one talking. And basically he tells me, and this is how I know that he was really on some BS. Basically, he tells me that, hey, my approach has actually worked before you, and it's probably going to work after you're gone. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I feel like it's successful.
Damn.
Enough said.
And at that point, you had no choice to bow gracefully because you didn't want to go off on him, because people like him, that's what he wanted you to do. So,
I fantasized. Ooh, Jared, I fantasized about Mortal Kombat punching this mother every day. Like I was gonna reel off a 99 punch combo and literally beat him up in the air, and then slam his ass down with an overhand right. I'm sorry. But yeah, it was getting bad, is what I'll say.
I bet, man. But thank God you held it together. You didn't let narcissist people like him get under your skin. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but thank you for the testimony, man. JB, any testimony of you dealing with racism at the job?
Well, at my last job, not really, because my last company I worked for was mostly the manager, so to speak, was a black female. I didn't really. I mean, you had the normal white person on the job trying to relate, say something smart, and I'm like, yeah, lady, I will knock over your tomato soup in your lap. Watch your mouth. But nothing like that. But on the, I mean, I tell you what, I did have a white manager tell me one time, she's like, man, you're very cool. You're a cool person. Do you smoke weed? I'm like, huh? No, I don't. And I don't know if that was racism or
it was.
Okay. I ain't tripping. All black people smoke weed, or I don't know, but
Now
Other
you
than that,
remember Don Lemon, JB, had said that during the the protest up there in Missouri. So yeah, it's very racist.
Yeah, it is very racist. He about to JB about to hop back on. But actually, looking in the comments, says living big with Big Red said I had a white gentleman tell me his favorite knot was a noose. Hell no.
Oh yeah,
dang.
we sorry you had to go through that, Big Red.
Yeah, I can only imagine what and they catch you off guard with it too when they say so like you having a blessed day, you know what I mean? You know, Big Red probably got a girl number, you know what I mean? He, you know, got a hot date, and then the white guy come up to him out of nowhere and say some foolishness like this, just catch him off guard.
Always. But I gotta agree with Red. It's mostly been on the field I'm working in. It's mostly dealing with black people jockeying for a position and dealing with nigga politics. So
Mm. Hey y'all, now that I think about it, there was a gentleman at my current job that tried to sell me some BS. Y'all ready for this?
I'm ready.
ready.
Okay, this mother blank had the audacity to try to tell me, and this is a severe problem with these Caucasian folks. I'm sorry, they're very good Caucasian. They're very good people, and then there are horrible people. This is not such a great person. Okay,
Right.
I ain't gonna say his name because I currently work there. Anywho's, I'm training with this guy, and this redneck bastard proceeds to tell me that most black people came from Africa after the goddamn Civil War. I was like, sir,
No.
Go
where
sit
did
your
you
ass
come
down
up with
somewhere.
that? I'm like, look, there are too many Jacksons, Jenkins, and Johnsons running around this place for a whole bunch of African imports to be coming after the Civil War. I was like, man, that's how I knew that these Europeans will tell you any damn thing.
Yeah.
Yep. That's highly inaccurate. So
It
yeah.
was so egregious. It was so egregious. I laughed in that man's face. I was like, you can't be serious with that.
Well, sir, please, that type of ignorance is dangerous, sir. Please stop.
Yeah, that was that was outlandish.
I think we lost Coach.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I was going to come to him next on the racism tip.
I
But
think he
Oh,
just threw
yeah.
you some BS and thinking you was He thought you. I just think he was trying to test you to see if you was that stupid and see if you was that black dude. Yeah, you sure ain't right. You know what? A lot of black people need to learn that dumb type. See if you was dumb type.
oh yeah, I call it the nigga test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll throw nigga tests at you. They'll say,
Yeah.
I don't see you in the to add you, Coach.
Uh-oh.
As soon as he come back on, I'm gonna add him. But yeah, I call it the nigga test. They'll try to do. They'll say something stupid or something extremely racist and see how you react. See what type of black person. And some of them go kamikaze, meaning some of them
Yeah.
will sacrifice their own face.
Mm-hmm. You sure right about that. Hey, you know what that made me think about though, Jared?
Yeah,
Have you seen the movie Deep Cover with Lawrence Fishburne like a long time ago?
Deep Cover with Lawrence Fishburne. I thought that was Bokeem Woodbine.
Nah, it was a movie along, and Coach 67, whenever he get back, will tell you. So Deep Cover was a movie
I got it.
with with
You back,
Lawrence
coach?
Fishburne in it as a detective, and he was supposed to be working narcotics, right? So during the interview process for the job, for the undercover job, there was a white man that was sitting behind a desk, and he was asking, "What's the difference between a nigger and a black man?" So of course, when he when he asked somebody that, the first guy cussed him out. He asked the second guy that. The second guy reached across the desk, grabbed him, and then they cut to another scene. And then they
Okay.
had Lawrence Fishburne on there, and the white guy asked him, "Well, okay, what's the difference between a nigger and a black man?" And Lawrence Fishburne was like, "The nigger's the one that actually responds to that." Which, I thought that was classy at the time, and at the time it was the 90s. So, if you did something like reach across and snatch the white man up and beat him down, then it's easier for them to kind of like eliminate you and blackball you to make sure that you don't get any other advancements in your career, or just not have a career at all. But
Right.
now that there are platforms set up that don't happen, that should not happen as often. But I found that answer to be like very intelligent at that time.
I think I remember that movie with Lawrence Fishburne. Okay,
Mm-hmm. It's called Deep Cover.
that was a good example though. But I'm
Yeah.
yeah, at that time that may have been an intelligent answer. Just people know what is right. What right is wrong is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You call. If I go to somebody white and say I think she fat and a bitch, and she may be both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever happens, whatever conclusion comes out of that is
That's
on
on
me.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like I had the balls to walk up to a man's wife with the husband standing there. You know what I mean? But people are bold. But people are bold. This is one thing I'm realizing. People are bold, but they can't take the
Consequence. Right.
consequences or the conclusion. That's one thing I'm noticing. Coach, can you hear me? Welcome back.
Yes, bro, I can hear you.
Hey, give us an example or a testimony of racism you dealt with at the workplace.
Well, before I get into that, just kind of speaking to what Brent was saying about, the guy that was,
No
testing him and
problem.
respecting him. The crazy thing about it is, bro, especially when people get, positions of authority, in education, you have to deal with administrators as a teacher. And in many instances, of course, the administrators, they're quick to throw the teachers under the bus. But more than anything, it's like, they forget when they were teachers. A lot of these administrators, they're too far removed from the classroom to kind of relate to the teachers because, they're not teachers anymore, and essentially in a management position. And they figure they can handle you any kind of way, as opposed to treating you the way they would want to be treated if they were in that same situation. So, I can
Mm-hmm.
definitely relate to that. But in terms of like racism, I mean, I see, from a teaching standpoint, early when I was talking about these real good schools, first of all, I feel like in too many instances, I probably was the most qualified for some of these jobs I applied for. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get them because the pigmentation of my skin was a little bit too dark, to say the least. So
Yeah.
that in
Yeah.
itself, in many instances, from an educational standpoint, I kind of feel like I'm a token interview. You get the interview, and then you find out. They always tell you, "Oh, we're gonna get back with you, whether we hire you or not," and you never hear from them again. So that's probably the biggest thing. But in terms of like an actual story, like the first school I worked at, the school I was telling y'all about earlier, the only good school I really worked at. But the issue, at that school was, I was only one of 3 black faculty members. I was only 1 or 3 men. And only, it was 2 sides of the school. It was an elementary side and a middle side. So, of course, I was on the middle side. All I was 1 black student in my class. On the whole middle school side, and on the other side, the elementary side, or the primary side, in our area, they call primary schools. Primary, elementary is the same thing. On the primary side, they had like 10 black kids. But the thing about it is all of those kids, they were from that area, and it's an all-white area. And, of course, the white girls in that area, they like black guys. So that's why you have, mixed kids now in that particular area. But just kind of make a long story short, like when I was a sophomore, junior in high school, my sister and I used to watch this show called Double Dare. And basically they would take like a phone, they'll take like a pan, aluminum pan, and they will put whipped cream in it, and it would just smash it in your face, right? So my sister, she did that to me. She was like, close your eyes, I was surprised, the whole old LL Cool J line. And she smashed the pie in my face, right? So, my mom, she just thought it was so funny. She just laughed hysterically. And my dad, he came out the room. He was like, what's going on? And I'm thinking he going to do something. And all he did was tell my sister, hey, you wasting money. Of course, he didn't use that language. He used a lot more colorful and inappropriate language. And he took the can of whipped cream and threw it away. And, of course, she knew I was going to get her, so she ran in the front bathroom and locked herself in the bathroom. And I was so heated. I'm like, if I knew my mom was just going to stand there and laugh and my dad was going to take the can and threw it away, I could have got my lick back, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, so I went to the first school. I'm the head football coach and the head basketball coach. I'm the only black man at the whole school. And they had this contest called a pie in the eye. Of course, I'm not going to lie, before I got there, my assistant coaches told me. Because, in this school district, you don't have assistant coaches, you have volunteer coaches. So they come when they could, they volunteer their time. They don't get paid. So, of course, before I got there, they had it's an all-white area. There were 7 volunteer coaches. When I get there, I only have 2. So anyway, so they told me, they told me the truth, like, hey, I don't want to sugarcoat it, but the truth of it is, at some point, they didn't say the N-word, but I knew what they meant. Hey, these people back here, they're going to get tired of this N-word yelling at their kids. And that's going to be the truth of it. So they had this pie in the eye contest. Now, since I'm a football and basketball coach and since I teach physical education, I don't have a computer lab in the gym. That was the only time I had access to a computer. Now, most schools, when they do a fundraiser, they ask all the teachers, do you want to be in it? Or we're going to email every teacher, email me back if you want to be in it. So they did it the opposite way. They automatically put every teacher in it, and you had to notify them that they didn't want to be in it. But since I didn't have a computer in my office, and the only time I had access to a computer would be to go to the computer lab before school started, I couldn't go after school started because I had football practice. So anyway, to make a long story short, they raised like $900 because, the white kids want to see them throw the whipped cream in my face. And based on the story I told you earlier, I'm like, man, I'm not doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? It was like, but coach, we raised $900 because of you. I'm like, man, I don't give a damn. You better get them kids their money back. So, they wanted to throw a whipped cream pie at half court during halftime of my damn basketball game in the center court. I'm like, man, I'm not doing that shit, man. So, of course, I ended up having, more major issues like at the end of the school year. But, it already was an issue on LSU Day. I used to wear a Southern shirt. And the faculty members, the staff be like, Coach, why you not wearing an LSU shirt? I'm like, man, I went to Southern. I didn't go to LSU. I like LSU, but I'm not wearing no damn LSU shirt. I went to Southern. So, they're trying to get me, halftime. They want to put me in center court and throw a goddamn whipped cream in my face. I already know my team, we're going to get our ass kicked. And then you want to throw a whipped cream pie in my face? I'm not doing that shit. So what they ended up doing was they ended up taking the principal and doing it instead. The kids got a kick of it. They enjoyed it. I'm like, man, look, I'm not doing that shit. I mean, that's a cultural thing. Y'all might be cool with that, but I'm not doing that. So, of course, that and the whole Southern shirt on LSU Day, those type of things kind of added fuel to the fire for the issues I had, at the end of the school year, so.
say it sounded like they were like trying to low key, emasculate you.
Well, I mean, but I'm not gonna lie. The assistant coaches, they kind of put me up on game before I got there. It really and truly. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you're not from that area, which I'm not, I'm from the overall parish in general, but I'm not from that particular area. It's like 10, 15 minutes, really like 10 minutes away from where I'm from and where I'm at now. Because I'm at my mom's house as we speak. But the point I'm trying to make is, my dad raised me to be who I am. And he the type of person, he wasn't gonna go for no shit like that. So
right. You ain't.
Yeah. So if I'm not gonna be cool with my blood doing that to me, I'm not gonna let no strangers do that to me just so y'all can raise $900, man. Excuse my French, but it was what it was.
Make you mad when you think about it, yeah.
Oh yeah, without question.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is the type of stuff we have to go through. Crazy, man. And then the last topic. No, not the last. Excuse me. I'm sorry, guys. We're gonna talk about is snitches. We're gonna talk about snitches at the job. What snitches did you experience at a former job? Now, when I mean by snitch, I don't mean by because your supervisor caught you with a ham sandwich on the production area, and knowing you ain't supposed to have it, you got written up, and they had to tell your supervisor had to tell his or her superior. That's not snitching. That's you doing something stupid and you got caught.
Right.
We talking about something that I give you the story. So there was really, it's teams of snitches at certain jobs. Yeah, that's right, Brandon Brazil. And I'm gonna give you guys this story so y'all can get where I'm coming at when I mean by snitches, right? So there was this nice Samoan woman. She was fresh from Samoa, but she was working with us. She's very nice. She would do things like cook for everybody the soups and certain of the employees she was cool with, right? Because we were all night shift and everybody be hungry, so she would cook for us sometimes. So this one guy, I ain't gonna say his name, was one of the main ones eating, her food, because she was breaking bread with everybody. One day, she was so tired because, how can I explain it? Okay, so she is already used to how things are in America, like how we work, the 9 to 5, the hustle and bustle, right? She brought, her husband and kids over, and the husband's not really used to how things are in America like that. So at the time, she was doing most of the work. So she was she would come to work tired. All right. So basically, long story short, she fell asleep at one of the cubicles because she was tired. She'd been working all day trying to get the house situated, and her husband helping her, and she was just tired. She got a lot of stuff on her. Instead of this dude waking her up, he snitched on her, saying that she was asleep on the floor. And all she had to do was tap my, hey, Miss So-and-so, get up. If you're tired, I can have you, walk around, get you some coffee. But he snitched on her, and she lost her job.
After he was stuffing his face with her food.
Yeah, and you know who it is. And you know who it is, JB. But stuff like that.
Scarface.
Mm.
No, not Scarface.
Okay.
All American.
Oh, that punk.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that we got inside little nicknames for these people.
Nah, that's good. That's good. You keep it inconspicuous that way.
I'll let y'all in on the joke. We got a dude that he just lied. He was all American in this and all American in that.
You
Put
oughta
enough
get-
Oh.
stats to form. Yeah, he lied to kick it, is what they say.
Mm. Okay.
But yeah, that man bumped that dude. But
But starting with JB, what is the story of snitches being at the job?
well, I give you a current story. Okay, so there's this one girl that, long story short, she didn't want a position because of her getting a certain position that was going to lower her pay. She going from trainer to team lead, which was my team lead. She didn't want to be a team lead, right? So she had an issue with the manager, which is my boss. So she didn't want to do no work. Okay. So long story short, I'm always the guy that, I'm good at trying to, motivate people. Hey man, it's all right. Your skill, you got this. It's a black, black sister. I'm trying to motivate her. Hey, everything gonna be all right. Blase, blase.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say snitching, she in the supervisors meeting. Long story short, is getting back that she not doing no work. A team lead is supposed to be a team lead is supposed to be a team lead and help the supervisors. Long story short, because she doesn't want the position anyway, because she used, she wanted to be, still be a trainer. So long story short, it was in the DSM when other supervisors complain and don't want her helping her team. So I'm like, F it, I'll take her. You know what I'm saying? So after I had to talk with her, long story short, she went back and she went to HR, right? She had a issue with my boss. And she claimed that my boss was racist toward her, blase, blase. She put my name in it. And she put what we talked about, not necessarily what we talked about, but she tried to make it like I was going against my boss.
And she brought you in that bull crap. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she made it like I was trying to go against my boss. And long story short, I remember my boss calling me and like, Josh, do you know that I can fire you because you're not supposed to let people know what goes on in the supervisor. I'm like, what?
You cut out, bro.
JB, can you
I
hear
was
us?
fish grease hot. I was fish grease hot because I'm like,
You cut out for a little minute, bro.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
hear you now.
No, I was saying I was fish grease hot. Because I'm like, you pulled me. I'm trying to help you, and you pulled me into some BS to your plan. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And all you had to do was say, "Hey, look for another job." Don't sit back at a position that you don't want to do, and make it bad for everybody. Long story short, this young lady got another supervisor fired. Another black woman got her fired because the my homegirl, she, and it was kind of her fault because I told her, hey, ignore. And she had basically, it was a situation where one of the agents recorded her complaining about the team lead that was causing them issues. So she went to HR, got her fired. But of course, we thought it was unfair because like she wasn't doing anything as far as her job, and So I mean, as far as snitching, I would say, somebody's trying to help you, and then you go back and put their name through the mud. That's foul. So that's my version of snitching. Um,
Yeah, that's crazy right there, bro. That is crazy.
Yes, sir. Like, and then when you burn bridges like that, um, eventually, like the you gonna run out of real estate, like because you've burned so many bridges. And
It,
then when it comes back on you, you're gonna play the victim. Yeah, I've seen that before.
it
I mean,
it was it was a situation.
you cut out again, JB.
Oh, JB,
They
you
was
cut out.
monitoring her.
Yeah,
So because it was room she wasn't doing what she was supposed to do. I mean, so and even I mean, you heard that even when she was a trainer, when she's supposed to be trading these agents, and she's traveling. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
She's not what she's supposed to do. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
mm.
So
yeah. That's crazy, bro.
Well, Coach, do you have a good example of snitches on the job? I'm sure you do.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be honest. My story is like eerily similar to JB's story. Now, for the most part, in education, for the most part, teachers typically they stick together. But most of the snitching comes from the students because students always holler, but no snitching. But when they're back against the wall, they're gonna throw you under the bus. But
Yes, sir.
but my particular story is kind of similar to his. Uh, the school I worked at prior to the school where I'm at now, I had a situation where uh, I was at the school, I was at an elementary school, and I was teaching PE. And,
Mm-hmm.
myself and this white guy, he was from DC. Uh, he basically, you know, I'm the black guy. And, even though the elementary kids, some of these kids still bad because at the time I was working on the West Bank in New Orleans, not on the New Orleans side of the river, but on the west side, on the West Bank. In So anyway, you know, both he and I are certified in physical education, but the way we had it set up, we had a good little setup. I would do most of the classroom management. I would do the yelling, the fussing, making the faces, getting on the kids, and he did the instruction. Like he taught them the different sports, especially the sports that I could do, but he's more proficient at. Like for example, soccer. Now in terms of like football, basketball, he can do that better than me because that's my forte sports. But a sport like soccer, he was better in that. And then not only that, but he was good with like elementary games, like invasion games, tag games. So I did most of the classroom management, and he did most of the instruction. So what ended up happening when we went back the next year, we had this room that we were in. At the school they called it a library, but in this library it was more empty shelf than they actually had books on the shelves. So on rainy days we would go inside there and they had this. It's like a plasma TV, but in education we call it a Promethean board. You touch it and whatever. So we would do like the elementary videos for the kids on rainy days, and then inside the library, they had these two rooms. One room was our office, and the other room was the PBIS room for the kids. So anytime the kids did well on Fridays, they would get a reward or whatever, and you would go and pick. Sometimes you might get a bag of chips, some candy. You know, PBIS is basically a reward. School-wide positive behavior. Basically, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the reward for the kids. So anyway, to make a long story short, went back to next school year. They had this new rule that all school counselors needed a personal office, a personal space of their own. So one of the two rooms was our office, and one of the two rooms was a PBIS room. So the guy from DC, he was heated. He was like, "This counselor is only going to be here like 2 to 3 days a week, whereas we here every day. So you kicking us out this space, and you putting us in the middle area, which was like the little area by this closet of this equipment room. So
Mm.
from what I'm understanding, the janitor that I was cool with, she kind of had a thing for me, you know, and I kind of liked her a little bit too cool, but you know, we didn't cross no lines or nothing. She told me that she heard the other PE teacher yelling at the principal. So when I heard that, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't think he coming back. So he took multiple days off. In education, you could take X amount of days off without a doctor's excuse. And then at that point, it's called job abandonment. So before he got to that point, he just resigned and he didn't come back. So I'm at the point now where, you know, like for example, like this one like kindergarten class, I had like 50 students and I'm the only teacher. You know, I was able to handle it, but from a class management issue, the student to teacher ratio is too great in their favor, you know. So I told the principal, I like, hey, you need to find another PE teacher like ASAP Rocky. I know this is a school with high turnover rate or whatever the case may be, but you need to do what you need to do to get you another PE teacher. And I'm like, it'd be preferable to be a female because both he and I, we both males. A lot of instances, there's no female to go in the bathroom with these little girls to check on them or whatever the case may be. So she ended up getting a female PE teacher, you know. So I brought this chick, they brought this chick in. You know, I found out later she was a user and she was a finesser, you know. So they brought her in, you know, I showed her the ropes. You know, for the most part, I did all the heavy lifting. I did all our lesson plans. I did all that our lesson plans. I did all the management. I did everything. So the instruction part that he would do, I'm doing that now also. So for the most part, she just riding my coattails. She's not doing jack shit, to be truthful. You know, excuse my language. She's not doing anything. So there's this kid. I'm not gonna say his name, you know, because you don't want to violate any FERPA or HIPAA laws. I'm gonna just call him Jay, right? This kid, his name was Jay. This kid was bad as hell. You know what I'm saying? He's a kindergartner, and he used to punch other kindergartners, kick other kindergartners. Like all other school students in kindergarten were like extremely afraid of him and terrified of him. Until this one other kid got tired of him one day, and in the lunchroom, he punched him in the stomach. Then after that point, all other kids weren't scared of him. But this kid, instead of his mama just disciplining him and just putting a belt on his little behind, she wanted to medicate him because they say he had bipolar disorder, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, no, all he needs is a good behind whipping. But I didn't tell her that, but that's what I'm thinking. Because he had an older sister that was like in the third grade. You know, she could be bad at times, but for the most part, you know, she was a decent kid. Whereas this little Negro here, he was a little menace, you know what I'm saying? So just to make a long story short, in many instances, I would pull him aside, and you know, I'm the only male at the school, so I would get in his face and you know, rah, make faces and do all kinds of stuff. So he already knew I really didn't play with him. So this one day it was cold, so we got back to using the library, but we didn't have the office no more. We had the little area that was right in front of the closet and equipment room. So the council actually got that room. That was our office. So the way the library was set up, her office was in the corner to the left, and they had this door to the outside. So Jay came in there, he acting a fool this day, and I talked to him, but he just kept, you know, he was acting a fool. So all I did was bring him right outside the door and talk to him. Like, hey, bro, you need to chill out. You know what I'm saying? You know, like you don't want me to get upset up in here. So I brought him outside. You know, it was cold that day. So I only brought him outside for like a minute, and I brought him back in. He came out, sat on the couch,
Lord.
And he was crying.
Know where this is going.
So, you know, the principal called me to the office the next day. And she was like, she was like, well, you know, I'm writing you up. I'm not writing you up for what? What did I do? You know, and she like, well, you know, I understand we had a situation. And she wouldn't go into details, but I'm like, all right. So I called my teachers union and I told them like, you know, whoop the woo, whatever. And they was like, well, Mr. Harrison, we're gonna get to the bottom of it, whatever. So they told me basically if they're gonna have a union, you know, we're gonna meet at the school board office, you know, your union rep gonna meet you there. We're gonna have a meeting in like a week or two or whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. So I done showed this heifer the ropes, this, that, and the third. So she did something one day like that would get her fired. And I'm like, hey, don't do that. I'm thinking the janitor that saw us was the one that was behind this. Come I get to the hearing, get to the meeting. You know, this white bitch here instead of her coming to talk to me and like, hey, coach, look, what happened with you and Jay? Like, what transpired? I'd have told her, hey, I just brought him outside and talked to him. So basically, she befriended Jay's kindergarten teacher, one of the teachers that he bit one teacher and scratched another teacher. These on separate occasions, you know what I'm saying?
What the heck?
Oh, yeah, he was a little minute. So anyway, basically, I get to the meeting. I'm thinking it was a janitor. It's this bitch here who I done took under my wing. I done been riding my coattails ever since she got to this elementary school. And I'm thinking to myself, this bitch here. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, I've been carrying this bitch since she done got there. So I ain't gonna lie, I was pissed. I'm like, look, maybe it's a white thing, but all white people aren't the same, because I done had white people that'll be like, faculty members they'll watch my back, I'll watch their back, whatever. I'm thinking to myself, I done all the lesson plans for you. I done showed you the ropes. I done showed you everything. And instead of you, being, woman enough to say, hey, what's going on with transpires, and I'd have told her what happened. She went and told her friend, which was the kindergarten teacher, the one that, and she was like, well, hey, instead of her come and talk to me, she went and told the principal. So the principal was like, I don't think anything transpired, anything happened. But she was like, you can't have a student outside the supervision of another teacher or whatever the case. And I'm like, all right, it's cool. So for the most part, it didn't end up being nothing. So I'm at this point, once I found out it was her, I was pissed. So what I ended up doing was, I'm thinking to myself, this bitch can't make it without me. So I'm going to just try to drown her ass. You know what I'm saying? And what I meant by that, not literally, I'm thinking to myself, well, she don't have no class management skills. She don't know shit. She don't do no lesson plans. So I just took like maybe a few days off, without going to work. And I just wanted to see if she was going to quit and she was going to tap out. I'm not gonna lie. I thought she was going to tap out, but she made it longer than I thought she would actually make it. So she made it, and then she texted me and she calling me, this, that, and the third. I found out it was her. I don't even want to communicate with this bitch, you know what I'm saying? So, make a long story short, she ended up realizing, like, hey, I'm not fucking with her anymore. So what she ended up doing was, like, literally, I would be sitting right next to her. She wouldn't tell me one word. I wouldn't tell her one word. So from now on this point, she takes her class to the opposite end of the blacktop. I take my class to the opposite end of the blacktop. I'm like, bitch, I don't need you. You know what I'm saying? If anything, you need me more than I need you. So we didn't communicate. We could be literally standing right by each other the rest of the school year. She wouldn't tell me one word. I wouldn't tell her one word. And for being in the South, for people that's not in the South, we big on Southern hospitality and being courteous and speaking to people and that sort of thing. And for me not to speak to her, it really showed what I really thought of her. And just kind of make to the end of the story, in education in Louisiana, we have these things called SLTs, the student learning targets. What you would do is, whether it's physical education, whether it's health, whatever it is, you give a pre-test at the beginning of the year, and you give a post-test at the end of the year. And the last day of school for the teachers, for the last day of school for the students is one day. Then the last day for teachers is the next day. So certain schools ought to benefit the last day for teachers. When you finish everything, when you finish like all your like professional group plans, your PGPs, your SLTs, when you turn in like your CUNE folders up, all your grades for the entire school year for each 9 weeks, each quarter, whatever, call it wherever y'all from. Once you turn all that in, then once you turn in everything, you could go. And then in other instances, you could you have to stay till noon at certain schools or school districts. In the other school district, you have to stay till the end of the day. So at the time, my sister was getting ready to get married. She was getting married the next day. So I'd already told the principal, like, hey, I have to leave at a certain time, because at the time I was driving 90 minutes one way just to get to work, because physical education jobs in Louisiana are hard to come by. For men, not for women. For women, they're very prevalent, but for the men, they're kind of hard to come by. So I told her this, and so this heifer had to put in our SLTs at the end of the year. And I'm not gonna lie, if you know what you're doing, like myself, it's still a tedious process where you have to, line up your percentages, you have to put it in, you have to implement it and submit it, and then you have to go to your evaluator, which is whatever administrator it is. They have to sign off on it. You might have to go back and change some stuff. It's a long process. It could take like a few hours. So she didn't know what she was doing, and she put in the wrong SLTs. Instead of her giving her post-test results, she did a pre-test result at the beginning of the year. And I'm thinking about, bitch, that's good for you. So I'm leaving. Look, this is at the end of the day now.
Hilarious.
So I'm going to, because she a new teacher, she don't know what she's doing. See, in this instance here, she's sitting right next to me, literally. I can reach out and touch her, she can reach out and touch me. But I'm not talking to her, she's not talking to me. And I'm thinking to myself, bitch, you're going to drown today, because guess what? I know you don't know what you're doing. I'm an experienced teacher, and it takes at least a few hours to do this. So I'm leaving to come because where I was at is, New Orleans, and I was coming closer to Baton Rouge to go to my sister's rehearsal because she was getting married the next day. So I'm leaving, of course, we had a good time that day. We took a bunch of pictures because we knew most of us weren't coming back the next year. So I'm leaving, and it's the end of the day, and she ain't even begin to put in them SLTs. So she had to come back another day, another whole day, and put that. And I'm thinking to myself, that's good for you. If anything, I helped you, I done carried you, and you're gonna throw me under the bus. That's what you get. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what needs to happen with people that's ungrateful.
Yeah, you know what that reminds me of though? Y'all ever heard the story about the scorpion and the frog?
Oh yeah, many times. Yes, sir.
No,
Same deal.
No,
please share.
Share real quick, Brent.
Please share.
So basically, there's a story about a scorpion that's actually trying to cross a river, and it needs help, and no other animals were actually going to help, but there was a frog that kind of came along, and the scorpion asked the frog for help. At first, the frog was kind of like suspicious and was like, well, hey, you're a scorpion. I don't know about this. You notorious for stinging other animals and, killing them. The scorpion, somehow convinced the frog that it was not going to go ahead and sting the frog. So about halfway across the river, there was a sting and a burning sensation in the frog's back. And then knowing both the frog and the scorpion were going to drown, the frog was like, why did you sting me? The scorpion just simply replied, it's in my nature. So the moral of the story is that might have been in that woman's nature to do that. And for that reason, she drowned herself.
But the crazy thing about it is, though, Brent, guess what? I kept swimming. And, from what I hear after the fact, what ended up transpiring is the fact that she ended up, just like me, she ended up moving on to another school the next year. But from what I understood, she kept using the school as for references and all kind of other stuff. So she wasn't nothing but a user and a finesser the whole time to begin with, you know what I'm saying? She just, basically, anybody she could use to benefit herself, she did it. And I don't know if she felt like, stinging me would propel her, but if anything, all she, like, in that particular instance, all she did was drown herself. Of course, it didn't end up being catastrophic for her in the long run, but that particular day, she found out the hard way, like, hey, maybe I shouldn't have done what I done, because guess what? Now I got to come here and spend a whole nother day at this place.
Yeah, but the point was, it's in her nature, unfortunately, for her to do something like that.
A very good analogy and very good story. It's very fitting because that's what people like her. That's all she know is to use people, good for Coach. He was, he has that seniority where he couldn't drown. She couldn't drown him. You know what I mean? So. That was very good. And that, Brent, did you go?
No, I haven't gone yet.
Well, let's go ahead and get in. Thank you, guys. Our internet flickered on and off, and we had Josh JB was still talking. I had to, I was out, so I had to come wait and get back on. So I appreciate y'all.
So Jared's on in the backwoods of Dallas, huh?
On the back, you say that, and I think it was just good old Spectrum. Tripping.
Oh no, Spectrum be tripping now. Because my mom had Spectrum too,
Yeah, man.
But Brent, go ahead and tell a story of somebody snitching in the workplace.
Okay, so my most recent story is tied into both snitching with a little splash of racism. Okay, so the
Yes, sir.
current job that I'm actually at, when I first started, we were we were stationed at like a corporate headquarters of a company that I, of course, can't say their name. Um, so basically, I had this person train me, and there were other there were other people that actually looked like me at this job, right? Um, and we worked overnight, so we didn't really bother anybody or anything like that. We just, we just did our job. Um, Long story short, um, this particular trainer was known to be a racist. So, as this particular person was training me or whatever, I tried to make sure that there weren't any conversations about politics, social issues, nothing like that. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that our conversation was directly reflected upon, like, me getting trained at this particular position. And then if you want to do something about sports or something like that, okay, I could talk to you about that. But no social issues and no politics. So basically, long story short, this particular person, I guess, observed the rapport that I had with other folks that look like me. Tell me why. Maybe just a week after I was getting trained with this particular person, me, the person that I had a rapport with, and another guy that we, all three of us had a rapport with, were reassigned somewhere else. We were reassigned somewhere else. All of us.
Wow.
Conveniently reassigned somewhere else. And to be quite honest with you, you training me, so I couldn't have presented like any particular issues. And what was ironic was this guy was trying to bait me into saying that I had an issue with him or anything like that. Because what he tried to do was like, he was like, well, I talked to so and so, and they expressed they had a concern with how I was doing things and stuff like that. I was like, and then he was like, well, do you have anything that you feel like I can improve on, or do you have any type of issues that you need to go over with me? I was like, sir, I haven't known you long enough to have any particular type of issues with you. And as far as the training goes, I'm just trying to simply absorb the information that I'm getting and processing it and just focusing on my job. So I don't have an opinion about you. I looked him dead in his eyes and told him that. But a week later, me, the guy that I had a real good rapport with, and another guy got reassigned.
Oh my God.
I tried to give that guy absolutely zero to work with, and I still got reassigned.
Wow.
That's crazy, man.
Well, that's how it is, man. But these stories, so somebody who's going through a similar situation like that, Brent, what's the best way how to go about it or handle it, conclude that situation?
To be quite honest with you, what I should have done was I probably should have played their game a little differently. I probably should have said that, I probably should have went to maybe someone higher up in the corporation and been like, well, hey, look, this particular person has these types of behaviors, and I'm very fearful that this particular person may do this, and this. That way, even if they don't do anything, which is more than likely going to happen, more than likely they're not going to do anything. But there needs to be record of that conversation happening.
Yeah, documentation.
That way, if something does go on, there's record that you expressed a concern.
And bro, you right. In many instances, Brent, they're gonna document it, but more than likely, they're not gonna do anything about it.
Yeah, in the business world, or certain jobs, or any jobs that's involving HR or HIPAA policy, which is most jobs. Definitely the pen is definitely mightier than the sword.
I mean,
yeah, but you definitely want to document it.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely. Yeah, you have to anticipate that they're not going to do anything, but you want it documented. That way, if they have to go back for any reason, it's actually documented. I think that was the only critical mistake I made.
Yeah.
Man, well, good story, man. Good story. Man, it's crazy, man, but we're going to move on to our last topic. And that's Sambos and Coons at the workplace. So did you have any blacks with no integrity at your job? So I'm going to give y'all a story. I got to be very careful. Because it may hit home to some, meaning may get back to this person, but I have to be careful. So I had a homeboy who was a supervisor at this job, right? And basically one of the, and this can tie into snitching, but follow me. A lesbian girl came up to my homeboy and was like, "Hey, this gentleman is talking about me, talking about my sexual orientation, making little slick comments. I don't find that cool." And my homeboy was like, "Okay." So he went and talked to the gentleman that was supposedly saying the comments, right? Now, at this time, the girl has already went to HR regarding the issue. So when it's already goes to HR, us at Soups cannot say anything to the people that's involving the case or the situation at hand. So he goes, because they had some type of rapport, they were cool. He goes and tries to warn, oh boy, hey, this situation might go to HR. She said this about you, but you ain't get this from me. Because they supposed to be cool.
Oh man,
you ain't get this from me. How about this? And this is an older gentleman too. How about old boy? If nothing but 5 minutes later, homeboy sitting at his chair, sitting down. Homeboy comes with the lady from HR. Bullshit you not, and he's like, "Okay, what you told me, tell her." And homeboy had to play it off like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, he had to.
And then homeboy, him being there for years, he knew how, he had that mouthpiece. So he knew how to finagle out of that. And then, but he pulled old boy to the side, man, what the freak was that about? What the hell was that about? He was like, "Man, I'll do anything to put, keep food on my table." He was like, "No, nigga. Like, y'all, what you did was don't use that as an excuse. You built like that, motherfucker."
Yeah.
He built like that.
Yeah.
So that's my example.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some real whole type behavior there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Mm. That's a good example, though. That is a very good example. So, Coach, I'm entertained. I'm dying to hear, especially in the education field. I'm dying to hear your story.
Well, bro, to be honest, really outside of the story where I told you when I was at the alternative school. Well, in
Mm-hmm.
fact, I'm glad you said that. Let me go with the alternative school story, right? So we was at this. I was working at this alternative school the year after I worked at the all white school. I think to a certain degree, from a political standpoint, it was kind of the school district's way of all right, hey, we gonna make an example out of you. You weren't playing fair at the previous school. You had a little bit of an issue at the end of the school year the previous year. So this gonna be our way to kind of get you the next year. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so who's at this alternative school? I was at this alternative school. It was myself and this 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 other gentleman that's a little bit older, and this other guy. So it was three men. I taught because of course when they transferred me to the school initially, they told me basically, yeah, we're gonna send you to this school. You're gonna teach PE. Now the guy that was the supervisor that I was telling you about earlier, basically he was the principal of this alternative school. He worked with my mom at the previous school that I was at, and he was friends with my dad. And he was going to retire this same year. This was the same year that Gustav hurricane hit in this area. So anyway, so he literally had one foot out the door. He was getting ready to retire, like in a few months. So he was like, he used to tell me all the time, like, hey, your dad and I were cool. Your mom and I worked together. He said, I'm gonna look out for you as long as I'm here. But when I leave, you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and handle yourself. He was like, somebody with your credentials and your certification, you shouldn't be in an environment like this. So he said from a principal's and a supervisor standpoint, that's why I'm looking at these other two teachers funded, because he was like, there's no way that they should be here if they are what they say they are. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so it's us three men. He was the supervisor, the principal of the program, and they had these few females. Two of them were paraprofessionals. One of them was kind of like in the teacher / paraprofessional type role, and this other lady was a counselor, right? So the guy that was the supervisor of the program, he had been there for a few years, but he literally had one foot out the door. And these females, they were trying to backstab him and undercut him. But basically, he was untouchable because, like, he literally has one foot out the door. He was telling me at the time, he was like, they're trying to cut my throat and stab me in the back and undercut me. He was like, in this school district, literally, I've run schools that the superintendent at the time, the superintendent of the school district, I've run schools that he couldn't run proud of me. So he was like, there's nothing they could do me. I'm untouchable. So he was like, the fact that they undercut each other and they backstabbing each other, he was like, you need to be careful in this environment. And I'm like, and I told him, I'm like, every one of us here is black. These 4 women are black. Us 4 men are black. These kids are unruly, disrespectful. Why don't we just all stick together? And he was like, he said, I understand what you're saying, but that ain't what it is. And he said, not only that, but he was like, I can run this whole place by myself. He said, I'm only going a quarter speed. And he was right, because, the kids would be acting crazy in the classroom. And he said, I could wear soft sole shoes, but you could hear him coming out of the hall. And literally, when he's walking out of the hall, the kids are running and scrambling. They're going to sit in their chair, not doing stupid stuff, because they hear him coming and they get right. So anyway, to make a long story short, the lady that's the counselor, everybody knew he was getting ready to leave. So of these individuals, a couple of them was in line to be the next principal or the next supervisor at the school. So I'm just getting there. These kids ain't doing no work. Either they sleeping or they bouncing off the walls. It's no in between. So either they're gonna come in and they're gonna sleep because maybe they might have, got some drugs, they might have been high in the morning, got high before they come to school, or maybe they stayed up literally all night the night before. So either they're gonna sleep or they're gonna bounce off the walls. So one day this lady that's a counselor, black lady, older lady, and the crazy thing about it was I didn't know her personally, but her cousin used to work with my dad, before he passed, and we used to go. Her cousin's family and our family used to go on vacation every year because her cousin and my dad and her cousin's husband we used to go. They used to the two of them, the three of them, the husband, the wife, and my dad used to work at the same chemical plant. So anyway, so one day, of course, the guy that was the supervisor of the program, anybody had to check in with him in his office before you come in the building. But this building that the alternative school was in, they had a sales tax office. They had like work connection, which was if you was unemployed, they had that portion of the building. So the building served multiple purposes instead of just this alternative school. So one day the counselor had her boss come from the school board office to come ask me about certain students' grades. So one of the other guys saw what was going on, and he went back and told the guy that was the principal, like, hey, like they got coach hemmed up, like you need to go and see what's going on, because he was getting ready to go into lunch because literally his house was like right around the corner. So what he did was he doubled back, and essentially he ran the woman out. Basically, he was like, hey, you got to check in with me before you come here. Like, you at the school board office, but essentially he was in a higher position than her. He was like, you got to come sign it. So she didn't say that, she left. And he was like, that's some BS right there. Basically, this lady is older than you. You a young teacher. That was literally my second year teaching. Like, you're a young teacher. Instead of her looking out for you and trying to help you, basically, she trying to set you up and she trying to backstab you for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? You didn't do her anything. School hasn't been in this long. Like, why would she try to do this? Basically, he was telling me, and he was like, I told you, you need to be on your P's and Q's, And he was like, he said the whole time I've been over this program, he was like, they don't care about these students' grade. This ain't nothing but like a glorified babysitting service, which at this point, what mostly education is. But he was like, the fact that she did you that, it kind of show you that, he said not so many words, like, really she ain't shit. Because he was like, she's been in education for some years. She a counselor. She don't do shit. She fat, she lazy. I'm not trying to, but in her instance, I'm keeping it real. But on the flip side, instead of her, helping a young teacher out like yourself that's only your second year in education, she trying to set you up. And he was like, her boss, that's her boss. Like, she don't have no bearing on you. So the fact that she would come and try to check on certain students' grade, he was like, that's some bullshit, because they don't care about these students' grade. These at-risk kids, basically, this day last out, they get kicked out of this school, they're gonna be sitting at home every day. Because once you get expelled from your home-based school, you go to alternative school, and once you get kicked out of alternative school, you just sitting at home. So she like, they don't care about these kids' grades. So the fact that she tried to come back here, double back, and do this to you, that was some collusion and some bullshit that they had going on.
That is terrible.
Dang, she tried to ruin your career before you even started. That's crazy, man.
And the crazy thing about it was, and he was like, he said, well, from this point forward, with your grade book, do this, that, and the third. And he was like, more than likely, he said, they're probably not even going to come back here, coach, because they don't even care about them kids' grade. And sure enough, he was right. They never came back another day after that to check on grades. And the crazy thing about it, the hurricane hit like a month later. And then once we came back from school, from the hurricane, basically, he retired like a month later. and things was fine until because we had a strong school resource officer that really kind of helped everything go smoothly. But once they transferred the school resource officer to the old middle school that I used to go to, the school went to hell after that. Basically, the inmates took over the asylum after that.
I bet. So why do you think? And we all know why, but I'm asking this question maybe because somebody who's listening may not really know why. Why do you think a lot of black folks act like this and treat each other like this in these establishments, at these jobs? Is it to be the head nigga in charge? Is it to the crabs in the barrel? What is it? Is it the Willie Lynch letter? What is it?
Yeah, I'm thinking there's a little bit of Willie Lynch. There's a little bit of self-hatred. It's a little bit of, like Jay Good say, the tribalism. But the crazy thing about it is, the story I just told, for her doing what she did, it was not gonna benefit her in any kind of way to do what she did to me. So I didn't understand it. It's like Brent Fox was saying, in the story, but the scorpion and the frog, basically it was just in her nature to do that. Because, she was messy. She liked drama. And I'm saying to myself, bro, this, usually you have more drama at bigger schools, but like it's only a couple classrooms. This is like a small building. Like, why would you try to, create confusion and nonsense in this environment, especially with the kids being as bad as they are. Like, you don't think you have enough drama with these kids constantly fighting and all the nonsense going on,
Wow. Brother Brent, you got a story for us for, Sambos and Coons, how they operate.
Yeah, I have a different story from the one that I told before.
Let's hear it.
All right. Good, man, because I'm not going to be able to follow JB up. That's kind of like following up Bernie Mac during the Def Comedy Jam thing. I needed to get in here while I could.
Like trying to follow him on the Kings of Comedy tour, huh?
Right. You don't want to be following Bernie Mac. Anywho's, man, there was at the corporation job that I had for like 13 years, there are some industrious people, I'll put it like that, some folks that are willing to do anything to get ahead, in other words, at the job. There's one particular gentleman, kind of looks like Braxton Hartnebrig from the Jamie Foxx show. So just based off of appearances alone, you knew you was in for some if you was of African descent. Anywho, this particular person initially, and this is just a little background story to kind of help clarify this guy's mentality. Initially, he came in with a Caucasian woman. But what he would do is he would actually cheat on the Caucasian woman with black women, which, caused drama. See the earlier, subject on that. And then what he would also do is he would try to get in good with management and if anything adverse was going on or if someone said anything adverse about the managers, he would snitch, which would also be something that touched on the other subject. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, this particular person didn't feel obligated, quote unquote, to try to help, their fellow brothers and sisters. There was we had like a black work group, like a positive black group at the job or whatever that we was at during our time in that corporation. So what it was you know what, I'm about to probably give away what it is, what job I was at. It was called Black Voices. So if you research that, you're gonna know what company it's tied to. Anyway, we had this thing called Black Voices, and this is how we knew, oh boy, what was trouble. He refused to get on there. Flat out refused to be on Black Voices. Okay. He thought that it was actually just kind of contradictory. And then, you know, it would also make us a target. How, Sway, how? The company was the actual people that actually came out with it. So if we were supposed to be quote unquote targets or whatever, then it's gonna link back to the company anyway. Like, I don't think that they dumb enough to try to set themselves up for failure. Like, oh yeah, we set this up and now we coming back to get all y'all. Oh wait, we set it up, so it's gonna make us look bad if we target y'all. They not gonna do that. So anyway, he came up with all these theories on why he wouldn't like get on the Black Voices team or whatever. And come to find out, he felt uncomfortable around a whole lot of us. But he felt comfortable enough to flirt with our women and all of that. But like when it came to interactions with both, you know, men and women of you know, black men and women, I'm gonna just put it that way. It was just a situation where he quote unquote felt awkward. But I mean, he would do all of this other stuff. But you know, when it came to like coming together and trying to do something positive for ourselves, he just couldn't get with it.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
He definitely was a coon.
Yeah. But I mean, he you know, he would be with them. He was with that. he was with the mayonnaise queen, but man, he would double back for that chocolate and caramel, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, dudes be knowing what it is. They just want to try to thrive in the society, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But JB, give
Yep,
us
yep.
your story on coons or sambos.
So I got this one story at my current job. I'm not current job, but my previous job that I had. It was when I was at that particular time I was a floor walker or whatever. We walked around and helped the agents, and my homegirl, she was frustrated because she wasn't getting the help she wanted from the supervisors and team leads. So I went over there and basically, you know, tried to assist her. You know, she was like, "No, Josh, I've asked for them to come over there and they're not coming." So blase, blase. So I went over there and she said, "Can you please tell them to come over?" So I went to the supervisor and team lead. This was a black female and I want to say Filipino young dude, and I said, "Hey, you know, she's upset because y'all not helping her. Can somebody come and help her?" You know, so, and then from the black female, she was like, "Oh, she just doing that because she want my position and stuff like that." I'm like, "Okay." So there was some type of beef going on. I was like, "Okay, whatever." So long story short, y'all not ready for this. I get back and I talk with my homegirl that she was having issues with them because she wasn't getting the help. So she was like, "Josh, I talked, you know what happened yesterday? I talked with them. They said it was your fault because you didn't let them know what's going on." I said, "What?" And she was like, and then the young lady, she kept around certain people, them people, white people. She was like, "Yeah, Josh, you need to. You. It seemed like you was scared, you was nervous. You just need to tell me what was going on with her. I'm like, you know why she was mad? Because you referred that you thought she was jealous of your position. So why would you throw me under the bus like that and make it like I don't know if it was a coon thing or just how she just wanted to keep her. She was scared she was gonna lose her job. I don't know, but it was just that just irritated me.
JB, if it
Yeah, it
was
was all
putting
of the
your
above.
yeah, it was putting your job at risk. Yeah, it was a cool thing to make herself look good. Definitely was a cool thing. Man, she's lying on you. So definitely.
But that's really I got. And the girl, I mean, that she was fine, she was cute, but I lost. I didn't care how big her booty was. She got on my damn nerve.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's what we have to deal with, man. Just trying to stay away from the drama, the politics, the coons. Um, just just a whole bunch of things that us as black men, black people, but black men in general, have to, try to avoid in this, working a 9 to 5 or trying to put food on the table. Which I mean, like now I'm hearing that, 9 to 5 ain't good enough now.
Boy, that is a whole nother subject, boy.
Yeah, the whole
Well,
Emily
we
K.
might need to
Williams.
come back on that right there, boy.
Yeah, that
Yes,
Emily K.
definitely.
Williams. Yeah, we might need to come back on that next week, you feel?
Yeah, we definitely need to come back on that one.
Yeah, I know we mainly talk about sports and everything, football, but mainly football. But I just wanted to have a show regarding, what we have to put up with and hear, hardworking brothers like you testimonies, and it was fun to hear. It was definitely fun to hear, and plus the people that was gonna come back and hear this, a lot of them are gonna have a idea on how to navigate their way around the BS, man.
And then they're not the only ones going through it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I told y'all JB had that fire, man. He said he don't care how big her booty was. He can't stand her ass.
And it was big too, boy. I was like,
You stupid. And we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I know the Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo. I ain't gonna even mention the Canelo Alvarez fight. That he might as well have signed up a sparring partner.
Canelo should be ashamed of himself.
Man, he don't want no David Benavidez smoke, you know.
No.
Boy, yeah. I think that that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. But yeah, I think that he's gonna try to take the safe route, quote unquote. I don't think that he's gonna challenge himself. Now, to be honest with you, if he was smart, and I know I'm opening up a whole nother door here, and I'm actually a fan of this guy. But if Canelo were smart, he would try to get Jamar Charlo to fight him right now. Right now.
That's not gonna happen. But like
No,
you said,
it's
if
not.
he was smart.
It's not. But yeah, if he was smart, I would be like, okay, well, Charlo, I give you a chance. You want payday? Come on, I know that. Come on.
He gonna wait till he see a chink in the armor. But I think
there are already several chinks in the armor, though, man. That's what I'm getting at. not physically, but
mentally.
like he's all over the place psychologically and like mentally. He's all over the place.
Somebody
So
Charlos.
yeah, Jamal in particular. Mel, I wouldn't want. I wouldn't. Yeah, I would not recommend anybody fight Mel right now. But Maul, yeah, I would be targeting Maul right now if I was Canelo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. It's go
and
ahead.
plus I think Maul got his head too far for Canelo behind. I think Canelo will
I was about to
put his
say
head
Yeah,
down on
yeah,
him.
he got too much respect for him.
He does.
exactly, exactly. But hey, to each his own. He gon' Canelo is clearly shown, and I know Barciano probably gonna rake me over the crows for this one. But Canelo pretty much has shown the world I do what I want.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
do what I want.
I think to a certain degree he's shown the world that he has a vagina also. You know?
Right, facts.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear shit about what Mayweather did because this is ridiculous.
Hmm.
That's true. People talk shit about Mayweather, but Mayweather actually fought.
People that could potentially beat him.
Exactly.
And what y'all think about? I know I'm about to wrap it up, but I just want while I'm thinking about it, what y'all think? Y'all think that Anthony Joshua Deontay Wilder fight gonna be made?
Man, I hope so. I think honestly, I talked to Buddy on Bayou Sports Talk today. I truly think Eddie Hearn gonna try to sabotage that fight, bro.
Hmm.
The,
To be quite honest with y'all, man, my opinion on whether or not that fight actually gets made is I'm not gonna be as optimistic as I once was. I think that until maybe something official comes out, I'm not gonna be holding my breath.
All right.
Yeah, bro. My cousin said the same thing today, Brent.
I'm
Yeah.
saying and tomorrow I'm gonna try to do a show on football, talk about how I draft picks for our teams. Gonna pan out. Brother Brown, I know you're a working man, so if
No,
you got
no.
time,
Oh, let me know, man. I'll try to see if I can get on. If I can get on, brother, I'll get on.
all right, it's probably gonna be around probably 7 or 9. I'm not sure.
Okay, let me know.
Well, we probably be have some storms rolling around, so hopefully it's not that bad where it affects the internet, but I'll definitely keep y'all brothers updated, man. But I appreciate you guys um, um, coming in on Saturday. Y'all could have been doing anything else, but that's why I appreciate y'all brothers. Appreciate everybody that came in and showed us love. Mr. Shelton, Brandon Brazil, Living Big with Big Reg, Joseph Townsend, Jay Barr. Appreciate all y'all. Love y'all. Um, uh, Brother Coach 67 Sports TV, please let people know where they can meet you and where they can see you.
Well, you could catch me here, Coach 67 Sports TV here on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, on all social media platforms. Pretty much I'm the exclusive content provider for Southern University football here on YouTube. So you can catch me here. Also, my show Bayou Sports Talk with myself, my family members here on YouTube on my channel, Coach 67 Sports TV, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time every Saturday here on YouTube. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. Y'all have a blessed, phenomenal evening. Catch y'all on the rebound, and salute to the awesome and amazing LDBC. Catch y'all on the rebound. Peace and blessings, everybody.
Salute to the LDBC and the general, Brother Brent and JB. I know you guys, don't have any content, but you guys' voices much needed. So that's why I have y'all on the panel from time to time. So I appreciate you, brothers, so much. Thank you, brothers, for coming by.
Oh yeah,
anytime,
thank you
man.
so much for having me, man.
It was a pleasure. Um, if you like what you heard, please like and subscribe. I'm a new Jack content creator, so I'm trying to get my numbers up at least
Hey, bro, we getting them numbers up. You and
Yes,
I
sir.
both hand in hand. We getting them up, bro.
Yes, sir. And we're doing it the organic way. We're not trying to buy any subscribers. So,
Speak it, believe it, receive it.
amen, amen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In the name of Jesus.
In the name
Even in the internet world, people appreciate what's real. Never lose sight of that, y'all.
Amen. But I appreciate all that was able to take the time to listen to it tonight. Y'all be safe. Y'all have a blessed night. And that's another edition of the Southern Baller Show.
All right.
Peace.
Peace, everybody.
Y'all be easy.